Hi everyone, this is Jarle from Handmade Cards, Happy Hearts. Thank you for joining me today. I wanted to share this cute box card that I made to welcome a little baby girl into this world. Let me show you what I've used for this card. So first I have the Lawn Fawn box pop-up die and then one of the simple stitched hillside borders. Then I have the Sent with Love stamp set, the Swan Soiree stamp set, a few items of Totally Awesome, and then the Sentiment of a Little Bundle. I already die cut everything from that box card pop-up die set. Those tabs and the main box is from Hello Sunshine remix paper. And then for the other parts I used some Lawn Fawn Moonstone paper, ballet slippers cardstock and some peacock cardstock. Those three little pieces will be glued down onto the tabs, so this has to kind of resemble the lake that the swans are sitting on. So I always love ink blending my die cuts a little bit. I think this gives it a more finished look. So I'm just using some distress ink in the color Peacock Feathers and my Bitty blending brush by Tailored Expressions. This gives it a very nice look. Here I'm doing the same thing with that stitched rectangle in Moonstone cardstock. Here I'm using the distress ink in the color Mermaid Lagoon. So I'm just ink blending all of the edges. When I do ink blending on one die cut, I tend to do it on all of my die cuts, just so that it all fits together quite nicely. Then for the last one, I have that rectangle in ballet slippers cardstock, but I'm just using some worn lipstick distress ink again for my ink blending. If you want to step up the card making game, I really recommend doing those ink blended edges, because it really gives a nice and finished look. Now on to assembling that box. You can see those two tabs on the right there, and that's where you should put score tape. So I'm taking a little bit of score tape, I think this is 1/4 inch, and I'm putting some score tape on both of those tabs. This is any double-sided adhesive would work, but I love score tape since this is nice and strong. So I'm peeling up the backing paper of that one, and then I'm just butting those two pieces against each other. And then I can press it all down, and then my two pieces are now one long piece. Now you could assemble the box in its whole now, so you can close the box, but I always like to put in my tabs first. I think it gives me more control of where those tabs go inside the box. So I'm just folding all those tabs, and you can see me pointing where the score tape should go. So again, I'm using 1/4 inch score tape, and I have 6 little pieces where I have to put my tape on. It's nice and easy. So then I am taking my main piece die, and I'm just putting those 3 tabs inside. So I'm just gluing this down at one side, just one after the other. So that first one will be the front one, then the second one will be the middle one. And I'm just enhancing or just pressing over that score tape so it adheres nicely. And then here also I'm peeling up that backing paper just to adhere that third tab inside the box. Then it's time to adhere it onto the box, so then I'm folding all those tabs to the right. I'm peeling up the backing paper and then I'm closing the box. There where I'm pressing, that's where it adheres. And then it's time to close the box, so I'm adhering that backing paper on that main box piece. And now I can close it down. And this always works out. So I always find it easier to put in my tabs and then close the box in its hole. So now I am gluing down my background there, and then my little tab, so that's lake, I should say, I'm putting this down on top of those main tab pieces. I'm just gluing down the bottom edge, since it's only the bottom that will be adhered on those tabs. Now I did find it a little bit dull at this point, so I went and die cut two of those side pieces with that main box die. And because I used that same box card die, I get that scalloped edge from my box card. Then I'm taking that simple stitched border and I'm die cutting a little bit out of that cardstock, just so that it resembles kind of a lake as well. So you can see it on the finished result. It has that scalloped edge, and also it's a little bit curvy, just like those tabs inside of the box. Now again, I'm using that Peacock Feathers Distress ink, just so that it all fits together again. Those bitty blending brushes are perfect for that. I bought a lot of those the last couple of weeks, but I really wanted one for every color. So I'm taking my glue tube here, and then I am putting this one on that side piece of my box. So here you can see that scalloped edge, it just all fits nicely together. Then off camera, I stamped and colored a bunch of images. I will list down all of my Copic color combinations in the description box below. So if you're interested in that, you can find it in the description box. So now I just have to assemble my whole box. Here I'm taking that heartstring from the Sent with Love stamp set, and I am adhering this straight down onto my background. By the way, tweezers, I think, is my most used crafty tool. I think I use it on every card that I make. So I'm putting down that crown on one of the swans, and then those flowers, or the flower crown, on the girly one. So first I'm adhering everything off of my box before putting it all inside of my box. This is my favorite part of card making, just assembling everything, gluing down everything, and just seeing everything come together. I really love this process. I also think this Swan Soiree stamp set is my most used stamp set and my favorite stamp set of all times. I have used it for baby cards, also for Mother's Day cards, for wedding cards. this is really a fantastic stamp set for multiple occasions. I did stamp and color lots of images so that I could fill up my box nicely, and I can also put some images on those two side flaps there. As you can see, when I'm adhering those images with my liquid glue, I always try to press it down very firmly with my tweezers so that it adheres nicely to that tab inside the box. Because if you let it go too soon, it might not adhere as good as you want it to be. And I think this finishes off my assembling. So I can move on to stamping the sentiment. I will be heat embossing this. I stamped my sentiment in two pieces. So first I have that welcome part, and then I have the little girl part. So I'm prepping my rectangle there with some anti-static embossing tool, and then I'm stamping the first part of the sentiment, which is the welcome, in Versamark ink, and then I am sprinkling on some white embossing powder on top of that stamped sentiment. It's always important to tap off any of that excess embossing powder. Here I'm just doing the second part of the sentiment, and then I am heat setting everything off camera. So I can glue this sentiment down using a little bit of liquid glue again. My cardstock was a little bit warped because I didn't heat up my heat gun enough before going onto the paper. So I put lots of liquid glue on that piece, and then I can adhere it nicely onto that front piece of the box. For the finishing touch, I have a little bit of grass there. I thought this would be perfect. This finishes up the card for today. I had so much fun making this little box using my favorite stamp set of all time. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this content, please consider subscribing to this channel and giving this video a thumbs up. Thank you very much, and I will see you again soon. Bye!